Hello, this is Ross and welcome to Game 2 of the Impetus Wales Open. Played April 2015. And the second game, again I'm playing obviously the Medieval Irish. You can see full details of the list in the first report. I'll show them again in a second quickly. Up against Teutonic Knights, which first glance is quite a good matchup for Medieval Irish, unless you get caught in the open. Heavy cavalry are great for shooting with javelins. You can surround them. They can't evade, get them disordered, all that kind of stuff. But they're also hit very hard. So we'll go through his list first quickly. And here they are, Teutonic Knights. The core of the army is the CPs, which is impetus speak for heavy cavalry. It's got 4 lots of those, 7-4. So that's 11 dice on the charge. And you're hitting them back, they're rolling against 7 on the cohesion test. So very hard to kill, and they do a lot of killing. But if you can knock a hit off them, VBU, their strength comes down to 6. They lose that bonus, and suddenly there's 6 dice. Disorder them 5 dice. Not so scary. Still hard to kill though. They're screened by 3 lots of LC, which is light cavalry, and 2 lots of light infantry with javelins, which a good call for this army to act as a bit of support through any bad terrain, which is always going to be difficult for this army. And something I would comment on here is got no scouting points. So just as I've got 10, more or less what it does, it hands me the choice to be attacker or defender and place the terrain. So I get the. So there's no real danger here. Once you see that the scouting is 0, I'm going to end up with this big empty battlefield where he's going to come sweeping across at me. He's also gone for a couple of rolls of destiny, and he's got the charismatic general, the level 4. So he can re-roll 1 or both dice when he comes to initiative at the beginning of the turn, and he gets +1 on all his rallies. Something I had to let him know about. I don't think he realised that, but little bonus for him. There's my army again. It's basically a load of bonnets. They're 5-1, throwing javelins, very tough, light infantry. So difficult terrain's all good for me. 5 skirmishers to act as a screen in case they come up against shooters. They also can jump in and join in the shooting. They get, strength 2 is a bit lousy, but you get close range. You get the move for free with javelins, 4 dice or 5 dice against cavalry. They can hurt. And then I have to take a cavalry, and that's where the general's on the light cavalry, where he can dart around, try and stay alive, please, and use his leadership to help rally him. So there we are, expert general, 2 rolls of destiny, and I've gone for the. Sorry, I've got no rolls of destiny at all, so I'm taking my chances there. And I spent the full 10 points instead on scouting points. So I choose to be defender, and I've gone for sort of classic setup here. I think I could have made those pieces bigger, but each pair, if you like, makes it 1 piece. So you can't have all 3 the same. Well, I might have done that for the ambushing opportunity. And the woods are probably the best terrain for me, although it does block my shooting a bit thinking about it. Anyway, he's never going to go in the woods, so it's only be an advantage. So being 3 pieces of terrain, he gets to move 1. Can't remove 1 as such. He can't add any. So he's stuck 1 in the woods in the top left-hand corner, out of the way. Which is not a bad spot, but one thing I would possibly comment is it does now show me which side I think he's going to come. He's not going to come through that wood. So I think he's going to come on the right-hand side. So he's removed that doubt from my mind. Maybe stuck in the bottom left-hand corner or something. I might have had to think about it. Because being the defender, I do have to deploy my arm. So I'll plonk mine down. I know he's going to come on that right-hand side. And there's his camp as well. It's the open side. He's not going to leave that unguarded either. So I put down 3 units of javelins just to sort of say, here we are, come and have a go. Screened by skirmishers, which is a bit pointless. He hasn't got any long range shooting anyway, but they all add to the shooting. Looking back, I should have gone for 2, doubled up my javelins on the far right, so I get, if I do lose a round in combat, they can bounce through, and then he's going to need a 4 on his pursuit to hit the unit that's behind, so it gives him more chance of evading in the combat. But if it goes wrong, both of them will get knocked off the edge of the table. So same with the other unit. And I've also got level 3 generals, so I've got 3 held off table at the moment, plus 2 in the woods, and I'm allowed to put a skirmisher in the broken terrain if I wish to use an ambushes. I got one of those there as well. So effectively 6 units off the table. Big chunk of my army. So here come the Teutonics. Boom. I'm not sure if he held 4 back or not. But anyway, this is where it's going to be. Light cavalry all the way across the front as a screen. The heavy infantry are going to guard, as we look, the left flank. 2 lots, sorry, the light infantry with javelins to try and cover the wood. And then the block of heavy cavalry in 2 ranks. So he's gone for, well, like you know, it's an aggressive policy to come and charging down this flank and destroying what's there, but I haven't really left much there to be destroyed. I mean, that's sort of my plan. Even if he kills all 3 and takes out a skirmisher, alright, it hurts. But that cavalry stuck right down this bottom end of the table, and I've got a free run at what will be a very long flank. Thinking back about this, actually, I think it might have been a possible plan for my opponent there to actually put everything right back, get the heavy cavalry an opportunity, the screen out the front, and say, here I am. You know, because if I'm going to go to him then, because my javelins only throw a short range, so I'm not going to I might get a few shots off or something, I might pick away at him. Really, I'm going to have to come out, and if you've got the cavalry sitting in an opportunity ready to charge me as soon as I do, I think it might be the best chance with the cavalry strung out in a 4 wide line. And when you do get a chance, chuck in as many as you can and try and wipe me out. But anyway, it hasn't gone for that policy. Okay, so this signifies that it's turn 1. I really wish I'd remembered to do this every turn. Would have helped this commentary a lot. Okay, so in turn 1, the Teutonic, can't remember exactly who went first, but Teutonic Knights have nudged forwards. I think he actually went first. The light infantry with the javelins, they wheeled out to start meeting the threat. I think a little bonus here would have been for the light cavalry to face out as well a little bit. They can oblique anyway without any penalty to their movement. And it just made it a bit harder for me to pounce in from that flank, which is what I'm trying to do. So my javelins in the middle are running out and landing some hits on the light cavalry. I've also attacked from the front, and I remember at the time they were determined they weren't going to evade, they were going to stay there, they were going to guard that heavy infantry to the death if need be. And I think unfortunately for them in the end it was for the death, but they defended them for a long time, I remember that. They were resolute. Top left hand corner, you can just about see them on the picture, my light infantry starting to run out and already landing hits on his javelin men. I mean, they're 4-1, they're being jumped from the flank by and outnumbered by 5-1s. They're in for a tough time up there. So we've rolled off for initiative, turn 3, and I've managed to win that. Okay, so quite a lot happened leading up to this photograph. We've kind of jumped quite a bit. Top left hand corner, I'll start from there, it's the easiest. The light infantry, even further off the picture, have been running in and just landing hits on those poor javelin men who are outnumbered and stuck up on that top left hand corner. There's another lot of javelins has come running out. You can see them on the top left hand corner of the picture, and they're landing lots of shots onto that light cavalry, who are determinedly defending his heavy cavalry. Even when my skirmishers ran up in front of them and he had the evade option, they stayed there and they didn't die. They were brave. I remember they took a lot of killing, they did. And just about to see the nose, I think, of my general coming in from the left, along with more javelins, and they're all just adding shots before those skirmishes ran through. This is where it gets difficult with Impetus, because so much can happen in one turn that it's very hard to show it. We need loads of pictures, a lot to remember. But anyway, the bottom line is that all those guys on the bottom left have been throwing javelins and landing hits. His cavalry on the right has smashed through, almost smashed through 2, which have been really bad news. And I want you to look at the other white knights right in the middle top of the picture. They're going to charge, and they come alongside the general's unit, which has done all this damage so far. And as you can see, they actually hit my frontmost javelins in that sort of central bus of javelins I've got there. So he's hit them. They're the ones who've taken the charge, which means he didn't have to do the triple charge to hit these guys down the bottom, just the double. So he made the roll to do that. Right, and here's an interesting picture. The unit that he just hit with that long bomb charge, well, double charge, wasn't that long, is now in the bottom left-hand corner, and it's showing 3 remaining. So what's happened? He's hit them. I've been lucky and got away with just 1 wound, if you want to call it that, 1 hit. So the VBU's gone from 5 to 3, so I've taken 2 hits, sorry. Because they're light infantry and behind them was more light infantry, they kind of bounce over them and end up back safe, which is the plan, which is what I should have done on the far right with doubling up those javelin men so they could have escaped. But it turned out they didn't really matter, so he just destroyed 1 and hit the second one. So having more might just made it worse even. But anyway, so pursuing forwards, he just wiped out this Peggy 1er, and I think that would require a 6 or something. So the other option you get in Impetus when you're following up is you draw a line between the centres of the 2 bases, move perpendicular to that, and that's your line of follow-up. So he drew that line and pivoted him, so I bounced to the back, and he gets the follow-up charge. It didn't need much. I think he needed like 4 to run into that other unit of javelins, and rolled too low, just short. And that is exactly where you don't want to be with heavy cavalry. He's got the big marker on behind them to show they're disordered. Very nice. Actually, I should have commented before. Really nice looking army. I love the winter bases, colour scheme, good quality painting throughout, and those disorder markers are much better than my little red squares and things. So now he's got 2 heavy cavalry units right in the middle of my army, done a load of damage, but they're both disordered and sitting there looking very vulnerable. His light cavalry are pushed out of it really, and they're getting swamped with javelins, and the guys in the top left are getting hit as well. Yep, so we're progressing through the turns quite quickly here, and I really wasn't taking enough photographs. There's a lot happening, and again, these matches are very quick. An hour and 3/4, including placement of terrain. You know, and then everything else you have to do, setting up your armies, deployments. So you've really got to go for it, and a lot was happening. Top left, the shooting has been devastating, and both his units of light infantry with javelins were destroyed. And his red cavalry is now looking very vulnerable. What does he do? He's saying to me, if they charge, they're going to get beaten up in the difficult terrain, shot to pieces. If they stay where they are, they get shot to pieces. So they're a bit isolated. Bottom right-hand corner, we're now pouring in as many arrows as possible. Really just trying to mount up the wounds on those white knights. They're not so scary now. They've both taken hits, so they don't get their charge bonus. They're disordered. They're having a bad day. And the light cavalry is also taking a lot of javelins. As you can see, there's 2 of them left. That stubborn one finally did get killed. I think he ended up retreating in front of the red cavalry, and I had to shoot them, which saved his heavy cavalry up there from some damage. So they were the sort of heroes of the day. Yep, so the red knights charging at the top. Trinalak, I can see the markers on them. They've been hit as well. Really started to take damage there. And the knights in the middle got absolutely wailed on. The white knights. If we managed to get a charge off, well, we'll come on to that in a second. But I think actually, if we checked it at this point, the 3 heavy cavalry and the 1 unit of light cavalry makes 11 points. 3, 6, 9, 11 for the VDs. And I think he started on 24, so that probably would have been enough, but we didn't realise that, and he was good enough to play quickly and get the turns in. So you can see in the centre, this is the setup you want. The skirmishers are just outside his charge line, getting to point blank range and throwing loads of javelins into there. The general's unit got killed. As you can see, that's missing. Well, you can't quite see on this picture, but they've gone. This other white knights are in trouble. And I think got the lucky long range shot coming up on them. The light cavalry on the middle right, who were down to about 1 wound. So really quickly that position collapsed. Once that charge was halted, and the javelin men started throwing those point blank range javelins, they really started to come down quickly. Yep, we rolled off here. Oh yeah, I remember why the dice are there now. Yes, as you can see, it's only turn 5. So much happens in Impetus so quickly. Well, just so many activities in each turn. It's amazing. It's a great game to play. If you haven't tried it, I really recommend it. So the situation here we're laughing at is because with his +4, you would get 10. My +3, I get, more than 10. +4, he gets 12. With my +3, I get 9. But his general's dead, of course, because he dies with the unit. So he doesn't get the +4 anymore. Or the reroll. So my 6 becomes plus 3 is 9, so I get to go first, which with all those units sitting disordered, surrounded, it was just horrible really for Teutonic Knights there. So that was it. The army had already broken, and the light cavalry, so that made sure of it. And I think the other, at least 2 of the other units are going to go. So a pretty convincing win for the medieval Irish. So a really good fun game. He was a good sport, and it was it was a difficult spot. And the javelin started hitting home, and there's so little he can do then. So I think once the die is cast quite often with those heavy cavalry armies, once you get them going, you don't see them again. You've got to make sure that charge wins the game somehow. So anyway, I lost 5 of my VDs, I should say, or 5 of the VDT total. So that's 19%. So the Teutonic Knights score 19 points because they were broken. And I get 130, which is a maximum. Less than 19 I lost, which gives 111. So 2-2-2 after 2 games, and a good lead at the moment. It's going well, the tournament. Yeah, so a tough one there for the Teutonics. I got a bit lucky as well. That charge could have gone a bit better and did a bit more damage. And I did break those in the top left quicker than I might have done. Let's put it that way. And we talked after the game, and couldn't really see a way for the Teutonics to win this. You know, they're going to always do the charge, and then they're going to get bogged down with the javelins and everything. And since then, I've had a week to think, to mull it over, and looking at these photographs and putting the report together. So I've loaded up the picture for. It's just after the Teutonics' second move. Unfortunately, not on the picture is the bottom right-hand corner where I have another 3 units of javelin men, if you remember, and a couple of skirmishes in front of those. And they're the sort of targets of the charge for the white cavalry. Now looking at it again, I was thinking that what's been missing from this charge is the fact you got 4 heavy cavalry, only 2 are being used. The other 2 are out of the game, really. Now if you look at that broken terrain, it's not quite as terrifying as it might seem at first. With the cavalry, you can have, as long as it's less than half your frontage crossing over the piece, you don't count as being in it. So, if the red cavalry wheeled to face the javelins I've rather carelessly put just out of the broken terrain, they could line up for a charge on those. Now the only thing with that charge, it might need a triple bound to make it. So you might want to switch out one of the white knights in the front rank with it, and use the brothers with their leadership, their B-level leadership, and they're going to be the right flank. Because the way I look at it is, whichever cavalry unit's on the right of his as he looks, is going to get hit eventually by the stuff rushing up from the back of the table to come sweeping round on the flank. So do you make that a good unit, or do you just put a weaker unit? Either way, something heavy is going to have to be there. So I think that's the first thing I would think about. Also, the other red unit, so the central one, as we're looking, would be set up for the angle charge there. The other cavalry could even be even further to the centre, just so it can charge alongside the 2 white knights. So that unit which got in the way of the, if you remember when the sort of central white knight unit charged through, it hit the corner of that unit, which stopped him get to the one he might have wanted to get to. Well, if that another red knights had been next to them, that unit would have bashed those out of the way. Then they could have made the charge. The king would be on his outside charge. Then the unit I mentioned before, which is in the middle of the screen as we look at the moment, at the top, the red knights, if they wheeled and did their charge, that would stop these guys you currently see on the bottom left-hand corner swinging round to do all the damage into the flanks that they did. Also, I think with the light infantry and the light cavalry, they can, if they were angled, it would be easier. You just push them up into the face of anything that's awkward. You could even, I've got a couple of skirmishers lying a bit loose there. They could wheel, hit them from the side, and kill one of those skirmishers and just stop. Don't shoot the guys behind. Just stop there. If they shoot on their turn, you get to return fire. It all buys time for the heavy cavalry to have 3 hits before they get swamped from the flank. And I think, looking at it again now, only 2 light cavalry rather than the 3, because just off the right-hand edge of the screen there's another one. that guy would be a lot more useful over on the left, engaging these light infantry and skirmishers and keeping them out of the flank of the heavy cavalry. So I put that guy down who's in the centre of the screen, the light cavalry there, as sort of man of the match, most valuable unit for bravely covering that heavy cavalry flank. I think I called it heavy infantry in the video, apologies for that. They could have been right in the face of those and had more help. There could have been 3 units doing that job. And that would really stop them against the flank of that heavy cavalry. Because it's a race against time here. If that heavy cavalry can smash up those bottom 3 units, maybe even pick up the skirmishers, the other 2 cavalry units are now also charging. They can pick up a couple. You know, that's a big chunk of my army gone. The medieval Irish then, even if they do manage to wipe out everything with no further casualties, it's only a very narrow victory. That game could have gone either way. And looking back at it, if you are going to go for the charge, I think he actually played that, pretty well on the way it's set up. If it's light infantry in the top left, it held out another turn or 2, got lucky with the cohesion test, so I've missed a few rolls. Then I wouldn't have been able to swamp the cavalry in the middle, and they were doing a lot of damage. So it's a very exciting matchup there. Sorry about the recording blip. And I've just uploaded this picture so I can continue a little bit longer, and it shows there that unit, which you can see the central units hit, could have been charged by something else. I suppose that would have been before the javelins you see on the left had pushed up so much. They wouldn't have been so far forward, so could even crashed into them before they got going. So with 4 cavalry charging there on the 2 it ended up with, and all of them further down the table pushing me off the edge. Yeah, that could have been quite unpleasant. I think if I was up against Teutonics again, I think I'd be more cautious. I know in this kind of tournament you want to be aggressive, and I was, goading him to charge, if you like, and he took it. And with a bigger charge, he might have actually beaten me. But I think in a tournament game, that's what you have to do. I mean, the idea of I could have stuck everything in the middle and crept up through the woods and sneaked out and thrown my javelins, and you're not going to get a result like that. That's the problem. That might be the more prudent method. Looking back on this was a closer game than it felt like at the time, and very fortunate to get through that one, really, and looking forward to game 3. So I hope you enjoyed that, and leave some comments, subscribe, and I hope to catch you soon. Thanks for watching.